have everyone to please mute your microphones, only turn them on when speaking, and remember to announce your name when speaking so the names can be recorded. Alex, please do the roll call.
Okay. And before I do that, if I could also remind everyone to, at least for all the board members, to please keep your video on during the duration of the meeting, please. All right, so the roll call. Dr. David Jones.
Here.
Chris Litfin, sorry. Rick Wyatt. Douglas White. Michael Manser.
Here.
Cindy Flores. Brandy Chips Fuller, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm here.
Kobe Music.
I'm here.
Chris Litfin. You're muted, sir.
I'm here.
All right. And Presiding Officer Jeffrey Alford.
I'm here.
Okay, sir, we have a quorum.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mark Gladney, Assistant General Counsel.
Good morning, everyone. For the record, my name is Mark Gladney. I'm the Assistant General Counsel assigned to the Motorcycle Safety Program. I'd like to welcome everyone. We also have some new members. I was wondering if the presiding officer wanted to introduce the new members that are here and possibly say a few words before I start.
Yes, sir. Mr. Alex, would you please go through the membership so we don't have to play?
Okay. Since it has been a while, I'll go through all of them. If we can just do just a brief introduction. Dr. David Jones.
I'm David Jones, Program Director, Safety on Two Wheels, MSF Rider Coach.
Mr. Kobe Music.
Good morning, Kobe. Texas Health.
Okay. Mr. Chris Litfin.
Good morning. My name is Chris Litfin. I'm with the Motorcycle Training Center. Thank you.
Okay. Michael Manser.
Good morning. This is Michael Manser. I'm the TTI, Texas Transportation Institute representative.
Thank you. Brandy Chips Fuller.
Yes, I'm a retired motorcycle traffic officer and a 20-year rider coach for Texas.
Thank you. And Presiding Officer Jeffrey Alford.
My name is Jeff Alford. I represent Total Rider here in Central Texas. I am a rider coach, program manager, and partner for Total Rider.
Thank you. And we have 3 others on the board that are not here, and I'm sure we'll meet them at the next meeting. So, thank you, sir.
All righty. Okay, with that, I'll get started with the open government training, and I'm going to share a screen. Hopefully this is going to work better than the last time I had a meeting, but I think I've got it under control. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. Before I get really deep into this, again, for the record, my name is Mark Gladney. I'm the Assistant General Counsel assigned to this program. And a little bit about myself. I've been with TDLR for the last 8 years. I've been an attorney in both the private and the public sector for more decades than I care to say today. I am currently assigned to the transportation programs for TDLR. So that would be, of course, this program, electric vehicles and driver education and safety. I've been, doing the driver education and safety program for the last 8 years that I've been with the agency. The electric vehicle program is relatively new, but it's a lot better for me to be involved in this program since it's part of the transportation arena for the agency. And I'm taking over for Derek Burkhalter. Derek was the primary on this program for a number of years, and I was actually in the background as his backup. So you didn't really see me, so this is the first time that you're seeing me. But yeah, I was in the background in this program. But I'm getting up to speed, and I'm hoping that we'll have a certainly a good productive time together in this program. So. I'm also have been a writer. I had a Can-Am Spyder for a number of years before I was kind of forced to let it go, but I'm going to try to get it back. But I'm not unfamiliar with writing, so I have that background as well. So having said all that, I'm going to get started with the open government training. This is the training that all advisory boards get once a year. You're getting your training now. For the new members, this training, especially the training related to the Open Meetings Act and the Public Information Act, or otherwise the Open Meetings Act, you're required to take the Attorney General's training, and they have a video. It's about 40 minutes long. So all the new members within 90 days of your appointment, if you haven't done so, please get that done, and you'll be right up to date with what the state requires. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, in this training, you're going to get these 3 pieces of legislation: Open Meetings Act, the Administrative Procedures Act, and the Public Information Act, which is also known as the Open Meetings Act. I mean the Open Records Act, sorry. Okay, we're going to start with the Open Meetings Act. And the purpose of this act is basically to allow the public to know what it is governmental bodies are doing. So it ensures open and transparent government. It puts sunshine on the process, and you're going to hear me talk about sunshine and transparency throughout this entire presentation, because that's what these 3 acts are all about. The act requires the meetings to be open to the public, preceded by public notice of the time, place, and subject matter, and that's the agenda. The act is mandatory. We must, whenever a circumstance is challenged under the Open Meetings Act, courts will liberally construe interpretations of the act in favor of open government. Okay, what are the elements of the Open Meetings Act? Well, first you got to have a quorum, and we have quorum today. Quorum is a majority of the members of the advisory board as fixed by statute. The quorum must meet in order to take an official action. If we don't have a quorum, then we can still have this meeting, but we just can't take any official action. The next element of the Open Meetings Act is discussion, deliberation. It means simply that we have a verbal or written exchange amongst you between a quorum and another person concerning an issue that's within the jurisdiction of this advisory board. So we talk about issues related to motorcycle safety. We wouldn't be talking about issues related to, say, midwives. That's not within your jurisdiction. Okay, and the next element is a meeting. The Open Meetings Act kicks in whenever a meeting occurs with a quorum of a governmental body and they engage in deliberation or discussion regarding public business or policy over which the board has jurisdiction, or any time that the board takes action. Okay. Next element is notice. The Act requires advance notice of the date, time, place, and subject of each meeting held. Again, we do that through the form of the agenda, and the agenda is filed with the Texas Secretary of State 7 days prior to the meeting, and also is posted online with the Secretary of State and TDLR. Now, the board is bound to discuss what's within the four corners of the agenda. You know, we don't go outside that agenda. We discuss the items that are within the agenda. And part of my job is to make sure that we don't stray too far from the agenda topic. If we do, then, you know, I will simply say, you know, we're kind of moving far afield from the agenda. We need to get back on topic. Okay. Okay, this is a question related to if board members happen to be at social functions, conventions, or workshops, you know, in the industry. And you could have possibly a meeting with a quorum of people that engages in a discussion about an issue before you. And can you ever meet in an informal setting without violating the Open Meetings Act? And so, yeah, you can. You know, you're free to discuss, engage in conversation that's incidental to the event. However, the discussion will be subject to the Open Meetings Act if a quorum of members starts to engage in subject matter that is within the jurisdiction of the board or takes formal action at the social function, convention, or workshop. So it's important that you're very careful if there's a quorum of you at any one of these functions that are outside of a normal open meeting like we're having today. Okay, so always be aware of any situation occurring outside of a meeting of this nature in which there's a quorum of you present or engage in discussion. Don't talk about any substantive issues related to board business or policy when there's a quorum involved and you're outside of a formal meeting. If we're going to do business, we do business within the confines of a meeting that's properly called and noticed. Okay, and beware of the walking quorum. So, what is a walking quorum? A walking quorum occurs when fewer than a quorum of members engage in discussion about official business, and then somebody, one or more of those people, to discuss it with other members who weren't a part of that original discussion. So that's something that you just really don't want to engage in. So an example, in a 5-member advisory board, this one is certainly larger. We're a 9-member board, so 5 is the quorum. But on, let's just say on a 9-member board, 4 members exchange phone calls and emails expressing thoughts on an issue that's within the jurisdiction of the board. They might even exchange some research that they've done on the issue. Well, one of those 4 members to that original conversation decides to go and talk to another member who wasn't a part of that conversation. And at that point, you've got 5 members who are aware of what was discussed at that original meeting, and that's a quorum. So now at that point, you've engaged in a walking quorum, which is a no-no, and we want to avoid that. So how can walking quorums occur? Well, they can occur during conference calls or video conferences, or you're having hallway discussions, or the big thing is if you have social media accounts. You know, some of you may have social media accounts, all of you may have social media accounts, and you all may follow each other. If you start engaging in a discussion on your social media account and there's a quorum of people who follow you, quorum of people on the board, then you're basically engaging in a walking quorum. So you have to be very careful about what it is that you discuss on your social media accounts. And the safest thing to do is just don't discuss anything that's within the Motorcycle Advisory Board's jurisdiction on your social media accounts. Save it for here. Yeah, and that's the safest thing to do. Now, best practices to avoid a walking quorum. Members should meet in small groups to discuss board business and then talk to other members. Don't send emails or texts to a quorum of members regarding official business. Even if you send them separately, just don't do it. Members shouldn't create posts on social media about board business. And members should not ask a quorum of members, even on an individual basis, for feedback or comments on board business outside of a public meeting. This is polling, again, and that's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. So the long and short of it is just let's do business inside of the confines of a properly noticed meeting, okay? Okay, and again, this is a reminder, we're only discussing those items within the four corners of the agenda. And we will have a public comment portion during this meeting. If we do receive public comments, if somebody wants to speak directly to you, we usually give folks about 3 minutes to give public comment. You are not allowed to respond to the public comment. You may ask clarifying questions, but you're not allowed to respond to it. If it's an issue that board members think is important, we can always schedule it for a future board meeting and put it on the agenda, and we can have a full discussion about that then. Okay. So, best practices. To avoid violating the act, again, limit your discussions to what's on the agenda. Don't wander off course during the meeting. Stick to the agenda. Don't respond to issues raised public comment. And we have an agenda item later on in the meeting to specifically identify items that you all want to discuss. We will put those on for future agenda items, or it's possible that those items that you want to talk about might be better discussed in a work group. So you have those other options. If somebody brings up an issue that may not be on the agenda, but you want to talk about it, we can always talk about it in a future meeting, or even possibly bring it up in a work group. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for y'all to discuss matters of importance to you and the industry. Okay, an act wouldn't be an act, a piece of legislation wouldn't be a piece of legislation unless there were penalties attached to it. And this, the Open Meetings Act is no different. There are civil remedies that are associated with it. Any interested person, including the media, can petition the courts to stop any formal actions taken by a governmental body, an advisory board, in violation of the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meetings Act also specifically states that any action that you take in violation of the act is voidable. It's not void from the beginning, but if it's challenged, a court can declare it voidable or void later on. Okay. There's also criminal penalties associated with it. Members that knowingly participate in a walking quorum or knowingly participate in a meeting that's closed to the public are subject to misdemeanor penalties. The penalties range from all the way up to a $500 fine and or confinement in county jail up to 6 months. So I'm not saying that this could happen, but we have seen in the past, probably at least in the last decade, where complaints have been brought and investigations and actions have been brought by various law enforcement agencies, whether it's the AG's office, county attorney, district attorney. So while it's something that is not likely to happen, it's something that you should be very much aware of, and it could happen. So the best thing, again, what I have been saying, conduct your business within a properly noticed meeting. Okay. And that's basically what I just said. So we're going to move on to that. Okay, if you have any questions or you want to do some additional research, here are some resources. Again, the Texas Attorney General has a great training video that all new members have to watch within 90 days of their appointment. Once you watch it, they will give you a certificate, and you can frame it, do whatever you want with it. There are some other resources here that are listed. AG's office has a great handbook on the Open Meetings Act. And if you have any questions whatsoever, you're free to call the General Counsel's office. The number there is below, and we'd be more than happy to help you. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the Administrative Procedures Act. And the purpose of the APA is to establish minimum standards of uniform practice and procedure for state agencies and provide public participation and transparency, and there's that word again, transparency, during the rulemaking process. Now, some of y'all who have been on this board, you participate in rulemakings. Some of the newer members, if we do have some items that are going to require rules, you'll be involved in those things. Rulemaking is a very important process and a very important function that we do. And that's why we have you here, because you are the subject matter experts for us. And we really appreciate all the input and participation that you do during rulemaking. Now, what is a rule? A rule is just basically a statement of general applicability that state agencies use to implement, interpret, prescribe law or policy, or describes the procedure or practice requirements of a state agency. Often we use rules, basically to interpret or implement laws that come from the legislature. A rule excludes a statement regarding only the internal management or organization of a state agency and not affecting private rights or procedures. Now, a rule can include either a new rule, an amendment to an existing rule, or a repeal of an existing rule. Where do we get these ideas for rulemakings? Well, we get them from legislative changes. We just had a legislative session. We didn't have any. We had a few bills that were passed that affect motorcycle safety, but we will not be engaging in any rulemaking related to those bills because they're more set up for TxDOT and other agencies. So there's not any that directly affect the functions that we do here in TDLR. We also get ideas for rulemaking from, of course, you, the advisory board members, staff. We're required by law to do a 4-year rule review. So every 4 years, we go and we look at the rule chapter, and we put it out for the public to make comments as to whether or not the rule chapter is still worthwhile in having, or are there some changes that need to be made? So those rule reviews come in very useful every 4 years. And then we also get petitions for rulemakings that can come from interested parties. A rule petition can come from any interested person requesting the adoption of a rule. And an interested person has been defined as a Texas resident, a Texas business entity, a governmental subdivision in Texas, or any public or private organization that's not a state agency that's located in the state. So what's the process that we use for rulemaking? For the, and this is a lot for the new people, but it's a refresher for the folks who've been here before. It starts with an idea, and then the staff starts to draft that idea, and we also use the work groups to help us draft the rule or rules. Then we do an internal review once we finish the rulemaking draft. We do an internal review to make sure that it's a rule or rules that is going to pass muster internally, and that will typically go to the general counsel for review and approval, and then it will go to the executive branch, the executive staff will review it. That's usually going to be the executive director. It could be some other members that she designates. And then we send, once we get the final approval internally, we send it to the governor's office and they review it. And they will give us either their approval without changes or they'll suggest some changes. Then we bring that finished product to you. And we have a meeting and we present the rule to you. And, we give the advisory board members to, an opportunity to, say what they like about the rule package, what they don't like about the rule package, what they'd like to change. If the advisory board makes substantive changes beyond what the governor has done, then we will have to send it back to the governor. If not, then we move forward with taking the proposed rule package and filing it with the Secretary of State. And that gets published in the Texas Register. And then there's a 30-day comment period that allows the public to see exactly what it is that we've been doing. Again, it's that transparency sunshine issue. And they get an opportunity to file written comments on what they like about the rule package, what they don't like, and even suggest alternative language. Yeah. Then when it comes back after 30 days, we review all the public comments, and then we have a second advisory board meeting with you where we will discuss those public comments. And again, you'll get an opportunity to say what it is you like about the comments, what you don't like about them, what changes you want to make, if any. Yeah. Once we get approval from you to send it to the commission for adoption of that rule package, it's presented to the commission. The commission will deliberate over it, and they will either approve the rule package as it was presented and recommended by you, or they'll generally adopt it, maybe with some changes of their own that they make. Okay, it's pretty rare that the commission will not adopt a proposed rule package once it's gone through this entire process. So once it's adopted by the commission, then we file it again with the Secretary of State, and the rules are generally going to become effective approximately 20 days after they've been filed with the Secretary of State. So that's the process for rulemaking. The process for rule review is a lot shorter. Again, it's every 4 years. We file a notice of intent to review. The public has a 30-day comment period. And general counsel's office will review the comments and make recommendations to the commission. The commission will review and they may readopt the rule as it's presented. The advisory board will be presented any comments and may recommend some changes too. It's a lot shorter process, but if there aren't any recommendations on changes during the rule review, we're generally going to incorporate those into a future rulemaking, and we'll go through the rulemaking process that you just saw. So here are the resources if you have any questions or you want to do some further research. Again, the Attorney General has a great handbook on the APA that you can look at. And again, if you have any questions or issues, please feel free to contact the General Counsel's office, and we're happy to help. Okay, and now we're going to move on to the last one. And what happened to? Oh, here we go. Did I lose something here? I think I got kicked out. Okay. Are y'all still seeing my screen?
Yes. We can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. I'm having some technical difficulties here. Hold on for a second. I'm going to stop sharing temporarily, and I'm going to try to get back into this. I think, did I get kicked out of WebEx? Y'all can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Hey, Mark, this is Brian. Yeah, we can still hear and see you.
Okay, I think I got kicked out of WebEx somehow.
Or I can share that last. I can pick it up from here if
Yeah, Alex, can you do that?
yeah, 1 sec.
Kind of figured I couldn't get through this all without WebEx doing something to me. Okay, can you move to the next slide? Actually, the next 2 slides.
1 sec.
Are you there?
I'm getting there. 1 sec.
I think it came back.
So,
Did it come back? Yeah, it just came back.
oh,
Can
did
you
it?
see this? Can you see this?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can get this to.
I can get mine going. How's that?
Yeah, get yours going,
Okay.
Alex.
All right. And let me go to
'Cause
where you were.
it's apparently not wanting to work for me.
Oh, what's the next one, right? There we go.
Okay.
Is that
I'm
Mark?
not able. Yeah, I'm not able to really see what it is that you're doing for some reason. So I'm just going to start from the introduction of the Public Information Act. Okay.
Okay.
So the Public Information Act is used to be called the Open Records Act, and it's again entitled to put sunshine on the process, and it allows public access to information about the affairs of government and official acts of public officials and employees. The Act makes all documents, records, and other information relating to official business open to the public. Okay. Now, when we say all documents, um, there are some exceptions. Okay. Now, public information includes any electronic communication that's created, transmitted, received, or maintained on any device, and that's important. Any device, if it's in connection with official agency business. And again, the act is construed liberally in favor of granting requests for information. So backing up, if we're talking about any device, that includes personal devices. So if you're using your own personal laptop, your phone, your iPad for official business, you might not want to do that, because if we do get an open records request, information that's on your own personal devices may be subject to disclosure. So please don't do any official business on your own personal machines or devices. It's a lot better for you to not do that. Okay. Next slide. The process for the Open Records Act is that the request is submitted in writing. So the public can request copies of public information or request to inspect the information in the offices of the governmental body here at TDLR. We have a request that has to be submitted through the TDLR Records Center, which can be accessed on our website. Now, once we get the request, TDLR has not more than 10 business days to respond to that request. We can't ask anybody why they want the records. We can only ask for clarification. But we have a short time window to respond to the request. So it's very important that we move on this pretty quickly. So the general rule is that there's going to be a presumption of openness. Alex, next slide. Certain information can be redacted from such a request, and an example of those things are date of birth, most email addresses, driver's licenses, credit card numbers. Of course, any medical information can be redacted as well. There's probably like about 20 or so exceptions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but for the most part, there's a lot of information that the public can request, and we have to provide under the Act. If we decide that some items can be redacted or not, or subject to exception, we have to seek an OAG ruling to see whether or not we can either redact or withhold that information. Next slide. Now, there may be some occasions in which you as an advisory board member get a request. In the event that you do get something that looks like a request for records or correspondence, please forward that to the advisory board team as soon as possible. And then they in turn will send that request to the general counsel's open records team. You may get an inquiry from the general counsel's open records team. If you do, please respond as quickly as you can. Again, there's a 10 business day deadline on this, so we have to move very quickly. So that's important for you to do. Okay, and the last slide, again, these are resources that you can use if you have any questions or issues. Again, the Attorney General has a video that new members are required to look at in the first 90 days. So for you new members who haven't done it, please do it as soon as possible. And there are other resources as you see on your screen. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the General Counsel's office, and we'll walk you through any questions or problems that you may have. Okay, with that, that ends my presentation on the open government portion of the agenda. And are there any questions or issues that you want to take up right now before we move on to the next agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Thank you.
Next is the approval of minutes. I'd like to call for a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from August 31st, 2023 and November 3rd, 2023. Need a second.
I second.
Yeah, Mr. Alford, who was the motion and the second?
I made the motion, and Dr.
Oh.
Manser does the second.
Okay, sir. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. I'm going to do these separate since they were a while ago, and just so we can make sure that it's clear as to which they were for. So for the first one, I will call for the roll vote for the meeting minutes of August 31st, 2023. Dr. David Jones,
I approve.
Chris Litvin,
I approve.
Michael Manser,
I approve.
Brandy Chips Fuller,
I approve.
Colby Musick,
I approve.
and Presiding Officer Jeffrey Alford.
I approve.
Okay. The motion passes for the approval of minutes August 31st, 2023. Now, we'll do the same for the meeting minutes of November 3rd, 2023. Dr. David Jones,
I approve.
Chris Litvin,
I approve.
Michael Manzer,
I approve.
Randy Chips Fuller,
I approve.
Colby Musick,
I approve.
and Presiding Officer Jeff Alford.
I approve.
Okay. The motion passes on both of the approval of the minutes for August 31st and November 3rd of 2023, sir.
All right, the next is public comment. The Motorcycle Safety Advisory Board received one emailed public comment from Mr. Joel Morris. The board members review the comment, but do not discuss, and we can move on to the next item. The next item is staff reports. Ms. Laura Hernandez, the licensing manager.
Good morning, board members. My name is Laura Hernandez. I'm a licensing manager in the licensing division. My team handles the applications and renewals for the motorcycle instructors and ATV instructors. Today, today you're reviewing the report I submitted for the Motorcycle Safety Advisory Board. It includes the statistics for fiscal year 2024 and 2025. At the time of the report, I did not have any numbers for current fiscal year. In addition, it also lists the current projects that our division is working on, and that's a new licensing system for the entire agency. This will encompass all of our licensing systems into one. And so that's in the development stages right now. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the report I submitted.
I have a question. Chris Litvin at the Motorcycle Training Center.
Mhm.
On future reports, could we get a metric on how long it takes to have approvals approved from initial request to completion?
Sure, we can do that.
That would be very helpful for both new applications and for renewals, please.
Okay. And then we will also try and get those for those that are submitted online versus those that are submitted on paper, because the timing's a little bit different for the ones that come in through paper.
Great, thank you.
And the percentages that you see are for online, and so I'm guessing you're wanting those ones that come in by paper. That's just the number of percentages that actually complete those applications. So it would be very small, number for those that actually submit paper applications.
I was mainly asking just because it seems like we have a long lag sometimes in getting approvals for new rider coaches and for renewals. And also we have a pretty big disparity. Like sometimes someone will submit a renewal and it'll get approved pretty quickly, and other times it seems to take forever. And I know that's not necessarily 100% reflection of TDLR, because sometimes the people who make the submissions have issues with their submissions or issues following instructions or issues with communication. But I just thought, it would be good to measure that and see how it actually is, and not go anecdotally, and also see if it's moving in the right direction or the wrong direction. So I appreciate the addition to the reports.
Sure, we will do. And also just an FYI on that, a report was implemented that's available to us to use to monitor more closely the attachments that are submitted separate from the application. Before, we never got it took us time to get a notification that somebody did submit what we had requested. And so now there's a report available to us that we can run daily so that we can capture those. And so we're trying to utilize that more, since this was implemented last year. I meant last
Great.
fiscal year.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Hernandez, I had a question for you. Jeff Alford.
Uh-huh.
The question I had for you was, is this new system intended to replace RIMS at some point?
It is going to be to replace all of our licensing systems. Um, so the Versa system that the instructors go in and to make that application renewal, it would take in those applications. So that's what would go away versus our current licensing system for that. So that's the part would go away. The REMS part is not connected to this. It would be used, alongside of it, just as we do now.
Thank you. Other questions? Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Education and Examination Division, Mr. Brian Beal, Accreditation and Certification Specialist.
Good morning, Presiding Officer Alfred and members of the Motorcycle Safety Advisory Board. My name is Brian Beal and I work in education examination, been here about 10 years. And we handle the schools and the issuing of the certificates and curriculum as well. Like I said, this morning I'll be presenting the A&E staff report. On page 1 of the report, you'll notice that there were no new school licenses issued for fiscal year 2025. There were 43 schools that renewed their licenses, and a number of the total that remained is 58. I'd like to let you know that this is actually about a 10% increase of schools from our last staff report that we did in FY23. So that's a good trend that there's more schools out there. And the motorcycle curriculum for fiscal year 2025 has 0 new curriculums approved. The total curriculum count changed from 50 to 22 in July of 2025 due to collaborative efforts of Texas A&M University and our division. An example is that BRC 2013 was removed. On the next page of the staff report, you'll see that there were 35,450 MSB-8 certificates issued to all of the motorcycle schools. That does not include the 1,115 MSB-8Ds, or what's known as duplicate certificates. And it's actually an increase when you compare it to fiscal year 2024, where we had 28,950 MSB-8s and 805 MSB-8Ds that were issued during that period. And if we go to the next page, for the current updates, there are 2 reminders for the industry covering renewals and quarterly reports. Please mail your renewal applications at least 60 to 90 days prior to license expiration date. Renewal forms are available for download on the Motorcycle and ATV Operator Safety Forms page. Schools must also submit their quarterly reports no later than the 7th day after the reporting period ends. Schools need to use or must use the TDR template when preparing their reports and submitting their reports. And that template is an Excel spreadsheet. It is not a PDF of the Excel spreadsheet. The 89th legislative session had 2 bills that affected motorcycle schools. House Bill 4904 added section 662.014 to the Transportation Code, which put a limitation on liability of property owners who allow motorcycle schools to use their property for training. Basically, the property owners are not liable for incidents that happen during training. This legislation is not related to the recent discussions about the Motorcycle Safety Foundation's indemnity waivers. This change in the law applies to incidents on or after September 1st, 2025. The other bill, Senate Bill 296, amended Article 45A.352 of the Code of Criminal Procedures, which allows a judge to grant defendants to complete a driving safety course or a motorcycle operator training course for more than one offense that occurred during that incident. In the law, actually, I think they call it a criminal transaction. So, but basically, if you have a couple tickets during an incident, then a judge can grant that those be dismissed by taking a course or allow the person to take a course. And then at the bottom of that, it says, finally, on October 11th, 2025, E&E, our division, partnered with our compliance division to attend a motorcycle professional development workshop. The workshop provided hands-on training for instructors and covered incident prevention, TDLR updates and legislative changes, effective coaching techniques, counseling strategies for student riders. This concludes my presentation of the staff report. I'm available to answer any questions about this staff report.
Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Beal. Next is Customer Service Division, Claudia Enriquez, Customer Service Manager.
Hi, good morning, advisory board members and TDLR staff. As you can see from the report right in front of you, we did have a decrease in contact.
Ms. Enriquez, can you speak up significantly louder?
Absolutely, yes. Are you able to hear me a little better now?
No.
No? How about now?
We can pretend.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Not sure what's going on. Hold on just 1 second. Okay, how about now? Yes? Okay, good. So good morning again, advisory board members and TDLR staff. My name is Claudia Enriquez, and I am the customer service manager for this program. If you're able to see the statistics reports right in front of you, it does show that for the beginning of this fiscal year 2026, we did have a decrease in total contacts for this program. I did not have the results available to me when I submitted this report for October, but there was a 41% decrease in total contacts for the month of October for this year versus last year, 2025. So it has, the total contacts have decreased this year so far in comparison to last year. But that's all the statistics I have for you. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Enriquez. Enforcement Division, this will be Mr. Michael Jackson, prosecutor.
Good morning, board members. My name is Michael Jackson. I am a prosecutor for the Enforcement Division on the Transportation team. I will be presenting the Enforcement Division report for you today. I will be covering key statistics. The report compares fiscal year 2024, which runs from September 1st, 2023 to August 31st, 2024, and fiscal year 2025, which runs from September 1st, 2024 to August 31st, 2025. The statistics compare the motorcycle safety program with all programs TDLR administers. At the very top of page 1, you have the division's performance measures. You'll notice that a similar number of cases have been opened in fiscal year 2025, 3, compared to fiscal year 2024, 5. The number of complaints closed has almost doubled between fiscal year 2024, 3 and fiscal year 2025, 5. Now, the next section in the middle of page 1 is the criminal history review for applicants who may have disqualifying criminal history. As you can see, the number of applications that are reviewed by enforcement has grown significantly between fiscal year 2024, 5 applications, and fiscal year 2025, 82 applications. However, there has not been an increase in denials after criminal history review. Between fiscal year 2024, there were 0 denials, and fiscal year 2025, once again, 0 denials after criminal history review. Now, the next section at the bottom of page 1 details where the enforcement division's complaints come from, whether they are from consumers or from within the agency. The motorcycle safety complaints for both fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025 were all from consumers. And then proceeding on to the top of page 2, this information is put into a pie graph format based on the number of cases opened from the complaints received just above. Now, in the middle of page 2, the orders issued section, there were no orders issued, agreed, or default orders for fiscal year 2024 or fiscal year 2025 in this program. Now, on the top of page 3, you can see the breakdown of cases closed without disciplinary action. Then finally, dropping down to the middle of page 3, we list the violations at intake, complaint opening, and the violations resulting in disciplinary action. You can see that 0 cases resulting in disciplinary action were in fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025, which reflects compliance with the law and rules for motorcycle safety, which is the goal of the enforcement division, compliance with the law and rules for the program itself. This concludes the enforcement division's report. I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you.
Agency update from Ms. Susanna Holt-Catrone, Chief of Staff.
Good morning. I have a few agency updates. On September 1, the agency acquired the Texas Lottery Commission and 315 additional employees. As of that date, we now have 41 programs. Mr. Bell did a wonderful job outlining the legislative updates for your program, which were the amendments to Article 45 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, as well as the amendment to Chapter 662 of the Texas Transportation Code. But a few other legislative updates and agency highlights from the last year are the new residential solar retailers program, which was created by Senate Bill 1036, and the regulation of delivery network companies such as Uber Eats, which occurred with the legislature's passing of House Bill 4216. As of September 1st, the agency now has over 1 million licensees in the state of Texas that we serve. And in FY25, we received more than 12,000 consumer complaints and conducted more than 7,000 investigations, resulting in consumer restitution in the amount of over $800,000 for all of the regulated programs. A little bit of background regarding the lottery. In addition to the 315 staff, the lottery successfully generated $1.8 billion for the state of Texas in FY25. and 7.91 billion in total sales. The vast majority of the lottery's revenue is dedicated to supporting essential state services, including public education and Texas veterans. Ms. Hernandez touched on the agency's development of what is referred to as TDLR Core, our new licensing replacement project. As you all know, we have a variety of systems that support our licensees, and this is a 3-year project in which we're implementing all of those systems into one, bringing efficiency and modernization to our licensees. And we will provide updates as this project progresses. And that's what I have for agency updates, unless there are any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item G, discussion of work group assignments and possible tasks. We'll call back Mr. Gladney, Assistant General Counsel.
Good morning. For the record, Mark Gladney, Assistant General Counsel. For agenda item G, since we have new members and it has been a little while since we've met, we have work groups that are going to need new assignments of members. So we have we have approximately 5 work groups in which there's going to be new members. So the work groups are extremely important. I may have mentioned early on during my previous presentation that when we do work groups are kind of where, no pun intended, the rubber meets the road. This is where we get a lot of work done. And especially when it comes to rulemakings. And the rulemaking, the work groups are generally consist of, well, they'll always consist of less than a quorum of members. And it's anywhere between 3 and 4 members that we commonly have in these work groups. And this is where advisory board members get together with staff and we sit down, if it's based on a rule that we are trying to amend or rules that we're trying to amend, or even create new rules pursuant to maybe a bill implementation or just some changes. We rely upon the advisory board members that are part of the work group to give us some guidance in the rules that we're creating. So this is all part of negotiated rulemaking, which really works great for the agency, and it informs us as staff, and it also helps you have experience in the rulemaking process. So these work groups are extremely important, whether we're talking about that or maybe changing up the enforcement plan, or we might get an assignment from the commission that they want the advisory board to engage in with staff. So I can't stress enough how important the work groups are. So we have 5 of them, and the presiding officer commonly makes the appointments. We can do it probably one of 2 ways. We can either do the appointments today, or because we're missing some members, we may be able to do them later. And the members who are interested in being on certain work groups can submit their interests either to board support. It'd probably be best to submit to board support, and then we can submit it to the presiding officer and he can make those appointments that way. So we can either do them today or we can do them later on down the line. Mr. Alford, what's your pleasure?
Let's kick that can down the road, sir.
Okay. I think it's important for you all to know that we have received emails from you regarding issues that you would like to address. And a number of these issues are best addressed in the work groups, because we're going to get anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to sit down and address those items. And, not every item is going to go to just one work group. We have, as I said, 5 of them. One of them is enforcement and compliance. And that's going to deal with advising on criminal conviction guidelines applied to license applications, the penalty matrix, for the range of penalties for each potential violation, compliance audits, and other enforcement matters. And then we have the licensing and renewal work group. And that's going to certainly deal with, licensing and renewal issues. Operations and logistics, that's going to be dealing with standards of conduct for instructors and schools and requirements for record keeping and reporting to the department. We have an examination and education work group, and that advises on standards for approval of course curriculum, training sites, and continuing education courses. And then we have one last work group that is contracts and grants. And that's going to be dealing with proposals of contract with qualified persons to conduct training courses or research, and on proposals to award grants to improve motorcycle safety. So those are the 5 work groups. With the input that we've already gotten from some of the members, some of those topics are going to be assigned to the various applicable work groups. And again, we're going to rely upon the presiding officer to, make those assignments with the help from staff, as well as the actual appointments. And that's all I have on that. Any questions or issues or comments that you want to make on this agenda item? Okay, hearing none, then we'll as Mr. Alford says, we'll kick this out down the road a little bit. We just don't want to wait for too long. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gladney. Just as a point of clarification, we are not kicking the agenda items down the road. We are moving the appointments down since we have so many new board members and so many need to be replaced. So please send that email in to the email address you listed and indicate which boards you'd like to be a part of and your availability. So that makes it much easier to schedule these things to get them going down the road. So before we have the next meeting, we can bring those things to light. Moving on.
And thanks for the clarification, Mr. Alford. And certainly any of those issues that you just talked about, we can talk about those in the next agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to agenda item H, recommendations for agenda items for the next board meeting. Any board members have any recommendations for the next meeting?
I believe we had a hand raised.
Yes, thank you. My hand was raised from the last topic before we jump to this one in reference to the email that we need to send into. I did not catch that specific email address to send in which of the work groups I might be interested in. Would you please add that in?
I can send you all an email, and then you can just respond to that one. It'll be the one that I use, the advisory boards, and if that's okay with Mr. Gladney, and you can send them to me, and I can make sure and coordinate with Mr. Gladney about where to put you in for these work group meetings.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any topics at all? Well, don't feel rushed. If you don't have one in mind, we can always include it in the email.
I think I saw a hand raised.
What? Mr. Fuller?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just inquiring about the frequency of the meetings.
This is Mark Bland.
Next agenda item as we go into it. So agenda items I, discussion of the date, time, and location of the next board meeting. The board staff will poll the board at a later time for future board meetings, so we can all get together one more time.
And Mark Gladney for the record. I think I've said this before. We have a directive from the chairman and from the executive director to have meetings at least once per year. We're going to strive mightily to have more than that. Certainly, as issues arise, we would have advisory board meetings. So don't worry, we're going to have these. We're going to have meetings. But as I said before, a lot of the work gets done behind the scenes of the work groups, and we are certainly eager to have work group meetings with you. When it's necessary, and we have issues that certainly need some discussion. We can get a lot of work done in the work groups and then report back to the advisory board when we have a scheduled meeting.
All right. Agenda item J, adjournment. Any last topics? Anything at all? Last chance. Very well. The meeting is adjourned, and the time is 11:11. Thank you all.